Yeah, we're going.
Hello, good afternoon. So on Saturday the 27th of November, detectives from Serious and Organised Crime Branch and a number of areas of SAPOL arrested a 54-year-old Fulham Gardens man for attempting trafficking in a large commercial quantity of a controlled drug. SAPOL were notified by Australian Border Force and the Department of Home Affairs after 800 litres of 1,4-butandol, known as Fantasy, arrived in Sydney from overseas, destined for South Australia. In a joint operation between Australian Border Force, Department for Home Affairs, Australian Federal Police, New South Wales Police and SAPOL, the Fantasy, equating to 800,000 doses, with a street value of approximately $5.6 million, was intercepted and seized. As part of the investigation, 4 addresses were searched, $90,000 of cash and a number of prohibited weapons seized. Further arrests are anticipated in this matter, so I would like anyone who has information in relation to this importation to contact Crime Stoppers, or any person who has information about any other illegal shipments into Australia to contact Crime Stoppers. Just from a community harm perspective, I'll just let you know that most of the Fantasy seized in this state is 1,4-butandol. Butandol is an industrial chemical used in the manufacture of lycra and making of paint thinners. And this is what young people, predominantly young people, are taking. So you can imagine effects on your body and mind of taking a substance like this. The use of Fantasy type substances impacts on the central nervous system, causing the brain to slow down. An overdose can result in loss of consciousness, respiratory complications and even death. The use of 1,4-butandol with alcohol or any Fantasy with alcohol is particularly dangerous and can result in serious overdose and require significant periods of hospitalisation. The use of 1,4-butandol in particular has been implicated in a number of serious overdoses, including fatalities in this state. So I'd ask people to think about what they're taking, think about where it comes from, think about the effect and the long-term effects on them. And I'd ask anyone who knows of any people dealing in these substances to contact Crime Stoppers.
Denise, can you talk to us about the significance of this seizure? Has this ever been seen before in South Australia?
No, so this, as far as we know, this is the biggest seizure of Fantasy in this state.
How did it get into the country?
So it was imported from China.
But what was it in?
A 44-gallon drum. So I think there's some photographs of those drums.
Can you talk to us about the police work that led up to this seizure? How did police uncover this?
So a lot of that I can't say because it's investigation details that we obviously would like to keep close to our chest. What I can say is that there were teams of people working 24 hours on this job, involved a number of areas of SAPOL and the Australian Federal Police.
You mentioned other arrests will be made. How large is this ring, do you think?
So we anticipate another at least 1 or 2 arrests, but what I'm asking is usually these importations have organised crime sitting behind them, and it's a syndicate of people. So we would be asking for people to come forward and tell us about them.
Are these people known to each other? So it is a ring?
We know of 1 or 2 that are known to each other, but we don't know who else is involved.
What would have been the flow-on effect had this hit the streets in South Australia?
Well, as I said, the flow-on effect is people just taking this substance. So basically you can take the substance, bit of cordial, take away the chemical taste, and then there's all those physical and mental effects that can occur.
Were the 44 drums hidden in another container? Was there supposed to be something else in the container? Just run us through the customs, sort of how it got through.
Yep. So 1,4-butandol is not illegal to import into this country. There are lawful purposes, as I said, but importation into a state is illegal in the circumstances where it's trafficked as fantasy. So we're working with a number of government agencies and Commonwealth agencies to try and change that legislation to make 1,4-butanediol a controlled drug.
Why did it become clear, or how did it become clear to police that this wasn't a legal importation of that drug?
The investigation that we undertook. And it is used in very limited manufacturing processes. So quite often when people import it, they'll say why they need to import it.
So you mentioned there that this investigation's ongoing. One individual has been charged, but by the sounds of it, this is a significant seizure and this person didn't work alone. What do you expect to come from this?
Well, I'm hoping that people will come forward and tell us exactly who's involved. As with a lot of organised crime, you have people up front who are involved, but the financiers and the end beneficiaries are quite often organised crime.
And what addresses were searched? What areas?
Western suburbs.
Are you able to sort of give suburbs, specific suburbs?
I don't have them with me, but I can provide them to media section for you.
This might be a silly question. Where was it stored? Where was it found in the home?
It wasn't at a home, it was at a business premises. And it was on the pallets that it was imported on.
Some of the other items that were seized, could you go through those and why that's concerning for police to find them?
Yeah, certainly. Well, the $90,000, generally people don't have that amount of cash unless it's linked with organised crime. So that's been seized. There were a number of daggers, knives, that type of paraphernalia. And obviously they're a concern because when you've got a criminal enterprise, the risk with those weapons is that somebody gets killed.
How serious are the charges? Is there a jail sentence that someone could face?
Yes, so the penalty is $1 million or life imprisonment or both.
$1 million, take me through that.
So that could be the fine. Generally for us, with this amount of seizure, we would be expecting a prison sentence.
For people at home who can't sort of, it might be hard for them to conceptualise just how significant this is. You mentioned that it hasn't been seen before. The 800,000 doses, can you kind of talk us through that a bit further, about its significance?
Yeah, so it is extremely significant. If you look at, $5.5 million, that's a lot of money going to organised crime. And as I said, the seizures of 1,4-butanediol have been nothing near 800 litres. So if you're looking, people take this generally a mil, you're looking at 800,000 doses, which is very significant. And the harm that can cause in the community is significant. And, it's the hospitalisation, the mental health effects, the effects on your body. I'll just ask people to think really seriously about taking this.
What type of person would this syndicate or the people behind this be looking to target with this drug? Who would be taking this drug?
I think the audience is wide and varied, but a lot of younger people tend to take fantasy. And a lot of people take fantasy thinking that it's not addictive or there won't be any issues with it, but there are, as I said, long-term effects. So, as I said, I'd be asking people to really think seriously about what they're taking. I mean, given it's to make lycra or paint thinners, this is what people are swallowing live,
What was the address at Last Bay? That's in the street.
I don't have that at the moment. I think it's Victoria Parade.
In terms of the length of this investigation, how long, I understand police work is ongoing, but this particular operation, how long had this been going for?
So this has been going about 10 days. So for us, we have to act really quickly. And we really work well with the other agencies, Commonwealth agencies, because obviously the risk if this goes through to the community is significant. So we have to act quickly. Nowadays people have got trackers and things on their phones so they can track shipments. So it has been a really substantial investigation for us and with a lot of commitment from my members, I must say.
Have there been other arrests in other jurisdictions?
For this?
In New South Wales, have
Yeah.
there been more arrests?
In relation to this job? No, there haven't been.
Just the one person
yes,
Okay.
so far.
Is,
And-
fa-
Go, mate.
is fantasy a common drug for South Australia? Is it becoming a huge issue?
So the recent reporting shows that the market is expanding for fantasy. It's a difficult drug to test for because it converts to your body as GHB. So bodies naturally contain GHB, so it's a very difficult drug to test for.
Is there any video available?
Uh,
The items that were seized?
we've got some photographs. We'll see if we can get some for you.
Okay.
Right.
Is there a way to, I mean, is some of this evidence here in South Australia, or is it in New South Wales?
The barrels are here and the weapons and things are here, so I'll be able to get you
Is
some
there a
photos
way
of that.
maybe we'd be able to go in where it's being held to shoot some of this, get
Just
a
so
bit
you guys
further?
don't.
But it won't show you any different to the drums. Are you talking about the weapons or?
Pictures, yeah.
Yeah,
Is that just on vision or something like?
Yeah.
we'll see what we can arrange.
Just so we can get this.
Yeah, we'll see what we can arrange for you.
And I've got one last question, if that's okay. You mentioned that there are further arrests. What is your message for those who are involved in this tonight? If you could have a message for them right now, what is that message?
My message would be not only to these people, but to anybody that imports these drugs and sells drugs to young people. Firstly, they should be ashamed of themselves because of the damage they do. And secondly, they're facing long terms of imprisonment.
What would you like them to do tonight?
I would like them to stop selling fantasy, and I would like to think about their decisions and make themselves better people.
Is it disappointing that this is still ongoing?
Yeah, it is. It's disappointing because, you know, people lawfully earn money and work hard for money, and to take advantage of other people, particularly younger people, to me is not the right thing to do, obviously.
What would you say to the people that are taking it? Think twice?
Definitely. Think twice. Think about your safety. Think about the ongoing effects. I mean, drugs can destroy your life and your family's life. So it's extended not only to the drug user, but the community, your family. It's a dangerous activity.
Thank you.
Sorry, no, you.
Me?
No, you're fine.
Right.